Are you looking to make raised garden beds like these ones here? Well, we're gonna show you all of the best, most durable wood options, and also show you a rot resistant option that can beat all of the rest at a fraction of the cost. Let's go. Finding the right wood for this type of project is super important. Unlike synthetic materials like concrete and steel, wood tends to breathe, and when it breathes like that, it helps to regulate the moisture in the soil. And at the same time, we're talking about wood that's gonna be touching soil, and that, my friends, can be dangerous to the longevity of the wood. First on the docket is Western Red Cedar. Without delving too deep into this species, I wanna first tell you the same thing everyone else tells you when they talk about cedar, is it's not cedar, it's actually a cypress. But like most cedars, it still has good rot resistance. It has natural oils called Thujaplicin that resist mold, fungus, bacteria, and other bad stuff like that. Most cedars have some sort of variation of Thujaplicin in it, including our budget-friendly option that we're going to talk about later. And no, it's not Western Red Cedar. Now, these boards are going to cost anywhere from $12 to $19 a piece, depending on where you're at. Here in Minnesota, it costs $18.33 for a 1x6 by 8 foot board, with the true to size dimensions being 13/16 of an inch by 5.5 inches by 8 feet long. Those are nominal sizes, so I'm sure you're used to that by now. Yep, Western Red Cedar is gonna be the most expensive and the most common option depending on where you are in the country. But this next option is a personal favorite of mine based on the way it smells. Follow me in the shop here, I'll show you this next option. Eastern Red Cedar. Part of the cypress family, it's actually a juniper. It's known for its aroma, having the nickname Aromatic Cedar. Has the same variation of Thujaplicin, so it's got those natural oils for rot resistance. It can be a good alternative to Western Red Cedar if you can find it. Red cedar is often more specialized, so it can be pricier. That's why we have to come into the kiln-dried warehouse in order to find it. Whenever we cut it up here in the north, send it out to get kiln-dried, milled, and then sent back to us, either in live edge or straight cut form. But knowing dang well it's so rare, we want to keep it for finished carpentry. Now, a 1x6 by 8 foot aromatic cedar board is going to cost anywhere from $15 to $40 per board, and those prices vary widely depending on where you're looking. I found some bundles of 6 boards listed for $125 online. That's averaging over $20 per board. Now, I've seen some sawmill YouTube channels cutting Eastern Red Cedar in the South. So perhaps if you get a hold of those people, you can get it for a lot cheaper, especially at a fresh cut green price. Remember, kiln dried finished grade prices are always going to be more expensive. But at least it's better than some of the potentially dangerous options that I've seen some YouTubers suggesting that you use. And we're going to get into that too, but first, this next option is the most affordable in my opinion, but it definitely has its pros and cons. California Incense Cedar is most notably found in the form of dog-ear pickets. Now, Incense Cedar is in the cypress family. It's got the Thujaplicin, but not as much as we want it to have. Now, the soft, straight grain is known for its ability to sharpen without splintering, which is why they've used it to make pencils for over a century. Now, the upside is the cost. These bad boys cost anywhere from $3 to $5 for an 8 foot board, but the downside is the true to size thickness is 5/8 of an inch. It's a pretty thin board. And while it still has the natural rot resisting Thujaplicin-like oil, it has less compared to other cedars, and I'm not sure I like that. So with it being thinner and less rot resistant than the other options, you really have to weigh the pros and cons to make sure it's worth it to you, because thinner means not as sturdy. So you might have to settle for smaller garden beds, but if that's the size you're going for, we found your solution. If not, we're gonna have to keep looking. But if you want a strong, durable, raised garden bed that's larger and can stand up to the elements for decades, then this next option is gonna be the one for you no matter what part of the country you're in. If you're a regular viewer here, then you know what hardwood I'm about to recommend. It just can't be beat. You guys know Kendall. He's the other guy on the channel. He's been teasing me about how every week we've been suggesting white oak over and over again as the solution for all of our outdoor projects.
It's true.
But he knows I'm right. White oak like this is extremely strong, dense, and resistant to wear and tear. And as we all know, damage could potentially be entry points for things that cause rot. It has tyloses and tannins that both act as a powerful preservative team, offering excellent resistance to rot, fungi, and insects. But as a con, these tannins can make the soil highly acidic. So you're gonna wanna watch out for that and find a way to counter that. Now, when I say tyloses, you're like, well, what the heck is that, Kyle? You can imagine tyloses as little balloon-like structures inside the wood that prevent moisture from getting through to the rest of the wood. These little balloon-like structures will swell up as soon as water touches them. That prevents water from getting through to the rest of the board. And as we all know, no moisture, most likely no rot. And if you're buying air-dried white oak that's been sitting out a while getting weathered, make sure you account for that by allowing an 1/8-inch gap for swelling. Now, white oak may cost a little bit more depending on what part of the country you're in. And that's another thing most people don't think about, the hidden cost of cheap lumber. A lot of people focus on the initial cost of lumber, like pine, without realizing the long-term costs. Ain't this spalted maple beautiful though, by the way? I just wanted to highlight this. Has nothing to do with the video, but it looks really cool. Now, these long-term costs that I'm talking about is basically a buy once and cry once situation. There's costs like wood and soil replacement, potential soil contamination from some treatments, and of course there's the labor of rebuilding, which is why I think white oak is the best. Basically, its cost compared to longevity is hard to beat, brother. Even though white oak is available all across the country, there will be some spots that you won't be able to find it. And if so, they'll charge you an arm and a leg for it. So if availability and costs are an issue to you, you could look for other species in your area. Species like cypress and redwood have naturally rot-resistant properties. Hemlock is more budget-friendly, but less rot-resistant. And then there's black locust, which is a really exceptional option. Speaking of black locust, I noticed in our Best Wood for Outdoor video, one of our subscribers had mentioned when archaeologists excavated the Jamestown, Virginia site, they found black locust foundation timbers underneath the soil, which tells me that black locust can last a really long time, brother and sister. Black locust has natural preservatives and tends to have a longer lifespan. It's one of the few species of wood that will actually add nitrogen to the soil over a long period of time. It also has resistance to shrinking, warping, and twisting, but keep in mind it's a lot harder to work with. And then there's Osage orange. Settlers used to use it for natural fencing due to its strength and thorns, but since it grows all janky and crooked, it's not really suitable for lumber. Now, earlier in the video, I had briefly mentioned a type of lumber that I've seen a lot of gardening YouTubers talk about. Now, this potentially dangerous type of lumber that I don't think you should be using is pressure-treated lumber. Many older gardeners probably still have concerns about the pressure-treated lumber that was made back in the day, before 2004. Technically, they say that this stuff is safe to use, but honestly, I don't really trust it. Now, this new formula ACQ is known to be corrosive to metal. And in my head, I'm thinking, if it's corrosive to metal, imagine what it'll do to your body. So, how did they fix it? They created AC2, micronized copper azole, or azole, or whatever they call it. But you can settle for the ACQ formula if you have corrosive resistant fasteners. But I wouldn't settle for either one of them. Now, I did see another YouTuber suggest using the pressure-treated boards on the bottom half of the raised garden bed and using your favorite type of lumber on the top half. Essentially, the roots would only go down so far, and any leaching that would occur wouldn't be able to touch the roots of your plants. I think it's an okay idea. I wouldn't risk it, though. I don't trust them chemicals. Some YouTubers even suggest using a plastic liner if you're going to use pressure-treated lumber. That way, you know the chemicals won't leak into your soil. Now, out of all the options we could have picked for the best wood for garden beds, I'm still always going to have to go with white oak. Now, as a close second place, these California Incense Cedar pickets here offer a good rot resistance at an affordable cost. Even with rot resistant wood, if you have a poor garden bed design, it's gonna trap moisture against the wood and accelerate decay. So keep that in mind. Also, I wanna encourage you guys to look around, check out your local sawmills. A lot of times they can provide lumber that's cheaper than the big box stores, especially in the case of the Eastern Red Cedar we talked about earlier. Now that we have materials in mind, we know exactly what type of wood we're gonna use for this project. But we run into another problem. We need to put a finish on this project to make sure that this garden bed lasts longer than our will to live. You're gonna need to know the types of finishes and the pros and cons and everything else you didn't know that you needed to know in this video right here. We'll see you there, brother and sister. I can see you. Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.